This is a video showing some solutions for the second assignment on completing the square in the third quiz for the first trimester. We'll do a couple that are on the simpler side and then a couple that are a little more involved. So this again is what you want to have. Get rid of all of that. And refer back to it as you need to. So let's say we're taking a look at something like number 2. So the first step is to make sure the coefficient on the squared term is 1, and it is. And then the second step is to take the constant to the other side. And I need to warn you on this assignment, there are some of these that are not set equal to 0, and they can be a little confusing. And maybe they already have the constant moved to the right, so you need to watch out on some of these. So now you want to take the value of b and divide by 2, and then that gets squared. And you need to be careful doing that, so that you don't make mistakes, as I did in the last video, but I caught it. So leave it up to you guys to watch these videos and edit me, since I'm doing these for the very first time. And then from there, this becomes a minus 1 squared. So that number there, negative 1, goes in the parentheses. That is the factoring squared. That's the process of completing the square. So what are we doing here? We are solving a quadratic for its x-intercepts, or its roots. Another way is to use a root finder. Very simple. Another way is to use the quadratic formula. So now we remove the square and take the square root of positive and negative, the right side. Some people forget to do the square root. Don't forget to do that. And then add 1. So negative 2 and 4. Now make sure that you check your answers all the time with this. It is very simple to make a mistake. Okay, let's take a look at something where it's a little bit, problem 11. Things are kind of just messed around there a little bit. Coefficient on the squared term is 1. We're good there. And then we want to add 48 to both sides. So that would make 48 minus 6, which is 42. So be cautious on how you get through the first 2 steps with these. And then we're going to take 2 and divide by 2, that's 1, and then we're going to square 1. So this becomes m plus 1 squared, and then we have to add the second value, which is also 1, to both sides. Okay, and that gives us 43. Now here's the weird thing. 43 does not square root very well, so we're going to get, I talked about this before, when we used our zero finder, we got those long decimals, we called those irrational roots. That's what's going to happen here. And so I'm just going to call it the square root of 43. And I'm going to punch this out on my calculator and just round it. So it's negative square root of 43 minus 1. So that would be negative 7.6. And then square root of 43 minus 1, which would be 5.6. So here's one that doesn't work out very well, because that number on the right is not a nice square root. That can happen. A couple where the coefficient on the squared term is not 1. 16 is a good problem to look at. So the first thing, notice the 65 is already to the right. So we're ready to divide by 4. And then, so we might be able to decimalize this. Sometimes you can decimalize them, 16.25. Now we want to take 4 and divide by 2, and then we're going to square that. So we have v plus 2 squared equals, and now we have to add the second number to both sides. Kind of go forwards and backwards with this. supposed to really add the 4 first. So 20.25. And now we want to square root positive and negative 20.25. That's 4.5, positive and negative. Okay, so subtract 2, so we have negative 6.5, and subtract 2 again, 2.5, and double check your answers, so it'll let me do that momentarily. Net 2.5 and negative 6.5. Indeed. Let's do problem 20, and we'll call this video good. So we want to add 68 to start with. And so 68 minus 2 is 66. And now we want to divide everything by 5. And this is going to give us some not very nice values, which is all right. Process remains the same. So we want to take 19 over 5 and divide by 2. That's 19 over 10, that's 1.9. Then we're going to square 1.9. And that is 3.61. So this is going to be n plus 1.9 squared equals, so you get, what's good about numbers that aren't very nice is it really holds you accountable to the process. So we want to add 3.61. So this is 16.81. So I like the fact that it does, you should work through harder ones, and you can find out whether you really know this process. So square root of 16.81 is 4.1, positive and negative. So I need to say this, when you square root, it takes the square away, and it gives you square root 16.81, positive and negative. And so subtract 1.9, so it looks like a negative 6 on this one. And then subtract 1.9, so that is going to be 2.2. So if you can do something like that and understand the process of this, you will be good. Let your calculator help you, with the fractions. But you need to try harder versions of these.